in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hi, hello there. How you doing? I'm very quickly looking up my email. Yeah, that looks like my email. I'm still getting, this Vivian in China is really after me to get a kitchen carcass from her. I've gotten my second come on, and this is slightly different from the first about carcasses, but she definitely wants me to get in touch and trouble her. I think I'll pass. How you doing? It's Wednesday. It's September, guys. In fact, the 2nd. Just you and me today. Guess that's usually the case. And a lot of stuff we can maybe take a whack at. I don't know what your preference is, and if in fact you have any, let me know. And we'll talk. This idiot clerk in Kentucky, who my sister and I talked about a little yesterday, this God-fearing Christian who is defying all of the courts in the land, including the Supreme Court. Why is she still there? I just cannot believe somebody isn't able to yank her out. She said yesterday when someone came in and asked for a license, this is not a light issue for me. It is a heaven or hell decision. So, okay, lady, if that's the case, then get out of the job you obviously cannot perform. The poor guy who's trying to get a marriage license from her, she told him that she refused to issue him a marriage license. And he said, under whose authority do you base that your refusal on? And her answer was, under God's authority. What don't these people get? Fine. If God is above you, the law, if your God stands above the authority of the law, then you are in no position to hold elective office, where I assume you took an oath, didn't you? Must have taken an oath to uphold whatever the laws were or are. So refusing to do the job, it would seem, why doesn't this woman have the understanding that she should say, I'm unable to do the job, and get the hell out? Part of her must, my guess is, I don't know if she's, seeking attention. God knows she's getting it. She's certainly not avoiding attention. But my guess is she really does feel that strongly, and because she feels that strongly, I think the idea of sort of becoming a martyr to the cause must be appealing. Because otherwise she would have gotten out. Now, no one wants any judge to jail her. That's too easy. They want the judge, and this is what'll probably start happening, to start fining her. Fine her $100 today. If she refuses again tomorrow, it's $200, and on and on and on, until she essentially starts giving back the salary that she shouldn't be earning because she's not doing the job. She took office in January, and get this, succeeding her mother, who had been the county clerk for 37 years. So that might be part of the wrinkle, too. This particular job, the county clerk in this godforsaken Kentucky county, that this family apparently feels is theirs. Rowan County. God. She has been ordered, along with her 6 employees, the deputy clerks, who also have, under her guidance, refused to issue any licenses. They have been summoned to appear before a judge tomorrow morning at the federal courthouse, and that's where we might see the beginning of the end game. And she she says, I have no animosity toward anyone. To me, this has never been about gays or lesbians. It's about marriage and God's word. So she's just an incredible, upstanding Christian upholder of marriage. Of course, never mind that she's on her 4th. Why is that always the case? Hello, caller. Caller.
Hello.
Hi. Clarence, can't you hear me? He can't.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Huh? Did you mute your phone? No, he can't hear me. Oh, well, that's muting your phone. Okay. We don't know what's going on.
Give us a call back.
Well, he can't hear me. I can't tell him to give us a call back. Okay, he's trying again. Hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
This is John from Robinson Township.
Oh, okay. Hi, John.
That article you were just talking about, that drives me nuts. People can twist things all kinds of different ways. And if they would do that to her, she'd be the first one screaming, you're denying me my rights to whatever it is.
Exactly. Isn't it something?
Yeah, I mean, you could take this on anything from the mailbox to the, it gets ridiculous.
People, I don't know. Maybe it's ever been thus, but it seems more so given the kind of media, intense media that somebody can expect if they take one of these stands. But I mean, the idea, and maybe you didn't hear me say this because you were giving a call, that this is a woman who thinks that she's, standing, upholding the sanctity of God's idea of marriage, and she has been married 4 times.
That's funny, yes.
Of course.
Exactly.
I mean, excuse me? So 4...
She sounds like a politician.
Yeah, right, exactly. 4 times this woman has said, I assume, to a minister and with people around her that, she loves this guy, will cherish him till death do her part. And she's divorced 3 times.
Yeah, it's a little hypocritical at the very least.
Yeah, right. Just a little. The teeniest bit, yeah.
If I may digress slightly, you were talking about the house the other day.
Yeah.
And I podcast you all the time. That location.
Yeah.
It's such a shame that beautiful house is in Bellevue and not somewhere else. They get so much pollution from Neville Island.
Oh, are you the one who sent me the thing saying it might be an air pollution? But
yeah.
Do you think?
And location.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a
beautiful house.
Yeah. Oh God, it's so gorgeous. But location. Mm-hmm. I still don't think, even with the location, that $499,000 is a reasonable price. I just don't.
Did you see the history on the pricing of it? $193,000 back in the late '90s.
I know.
That's off the county website. I think it was $193,000 it sold for back in 1997 or ‑98.
And then in 2003, when the people who are selling it now bought it, they paid $200 something.
300 some thousand.
Okay, 300 some thousand. And I think the other people had done quite a bit of, fixing it up or something.
Yes.
But isn't that unbelievable when you know that you can't even get a hovel in some cities for less than $500,000? There was a picture today in the paper of a Microsoft executive and her husband sitting outside their house, and imagine what she makes. This would be a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Sure. The house looked like what you'd call a bungalow.
My. Well, location.
Location, as we said. Mm-hmm. Okay, well.
The other thing is it's probably a money pit of some sort with both repairs and
upkeep.
Heating.
Yeah, just upkeep would be, keeping up the lawn, keeping up 14 rooms, keeping up, heating it. Who'd want to heat that?
Oh, my, not me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.
All right, nice talking with you.
Yeah, bye. Nice talking to you, too. I keep getting emails from you guys about this house. This house was, everybody's fascinated by it. But it'll be curious. Hey, one or two of you or somebody, if you're like one of those nebby people who read the the deed transfers, keep your eye on that and see when this thing sells and for what. But it won't be to me, and I ain't doing it. Okay. I think that was that. So, and I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I want to say it again. This juxtaposition, which actually is in a lot of newspapers today, of pictures of Obama hiking in Alaska and pointing out the glacier and how it is, whatever they say, retreated. Hello? Hi,
Lynn.
Hi.
Hey, I challenge any Republican that claims to be this conservative Christian to show me where in the Bible it says 2 males can't marry or 2 females. There's nowhere in the Bible it says that. They make this bullshit up all the time. There's nowhere in there.
Well, there's something about a man lying with a man is an abomination.
Oh, they say that.
Something like that. So there you have it.
Uh-huh. Well, did they forget that man wrote the Bible?
And did they forget that if you start counting up the number of abominations in the Bible, it's a wonder we all haven't been struck dead. I mean, including all these Christians.
Oh, exactly. And they're the ones that won't pay a person that has a business a decent wage, but then they'll go to church on Sunday. Don't care about, if they're struggling. I mean, their whole Christian thing is so ass backwards. It's unbelievable that they do that.
Some of the greatest people I've known are genuine Christians, Christians of faith who really follow the teachings of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And then some of the absolute, without a doubt, worst people I've known are go to church every Sunday Christians who obviously don't hear a damn thing, or are misled by the lunatic preachers who are taking their money and steering them wrong. I don't know. I don't know. It's enough to make somebody not particularly religious. It's enough to make people agnostics and doubters, and that's certainly what is happening. If you look at all the studies, millennials, the younger people now, young adults, are just amazingly not affiliating with any particular religion. They're making up their own churches. They're doing whatever, but they've had it with the mainstream and traditional churches, and that's sort of probably what's happening with the political parties, with Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. People are fed up with the establishment, and they're looking for something else all over the place. And
I don't care if somebody goes to church and has a religion, but keep it in church, keep it at home, keep it out of politics. It doesn't belong in our
well, but it
government.
Can inform your behavior in your life. What I don't, if you're doing it properly, it makes you a better person. But if your idea of informing your life is about getting in other people's faces about it, I was talking to a friend the other day who had a relationship of sorts, business relationship, with an Orthodox Jewish woman who was always telling her that the only way was her way. And, like all kinds of fundamentalists, that's where their heads are. And then she also told this friend of mine who is Christian, leaning toward Buddhist, that there was no way she could ever be a Jew. And because my friend had said, well, what if I converted and became you could not be a Jew, she said, because you were not born of a Jewish womb. And
wow.
And she said, well, okay, but if I can't be one, how come you're always telling me I'm supposed to live based on the rules that your religion has promulgated? I have to live by your rules, but I can't be one of you, which is the same kind of fundamentalist crap. It doesn't matter. There's Jews who are crazy like that. There's Christians, and God knows there's Muslims because, well, we're in a war with a lot of them.
I don't know if I told you this before. There's a poll that said that 85% of people would vote for an atheist president.
Oh, I find that hard to believe.
I
thought all the polls show that that's the last thing Americans will vote for. Yeah. There's no way that's true.
It would be the other way.
There's no way that's true, given
where I think
population.
I heard it. Well, I shouldn't. Is that Ventura's show? That
all right. Well, that is not necessarily
I don't
reliable.
know if that's reliable or not.
Not a reliable source. Not.
And
Okay.
He's an atheist, so I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's bull. Okay. All right. Bye.
We'll see you.
Nice talking to you. Bye. So I was talking about this weird juxtaposition. So there's Obama. It's in the New York Times they have the juxtaposition, but it probably happened in a lot of papers. Obama hiking, decrying climate change, looking at where this glacier had been, looking at where it now was and how it continues to recede, and the horrors of what we are doing and how we have to, mend our ways. And then right above it is a headline: Obama calls for more Coast Guard icebreakers to gain a foothold in the Arctic. Hello? Barack, we know you're a bright guy. Is there a little bit of a disconnect there? Some dissonance going, cognitive dissonance in your head? We need more icebreakers because icebreakers are what allow commercial vessels to get into that, like, pristine. We haven't been able to get up there and, fuck it up like we have, fucked up everything else that we have access to. And so now here, on the one hand, he's saying, we've got to stop this destruction. Look what we're doing. Could we have a few $100 billion? We need some icebreakers to get up into the Arctic because the Russians are up there. They got 41 icebreakers. We got like 1 or something. And Barack, is this the same? You the same guy who signed off on that Shell letting Shell drill in the Arctic? Yeah. All right. Okay, well, I don't know about you, but I'm having trouble getting my head around where you are on all this. It just doesn't seem to make any sense. I mean, I understand on some level, but this shows why humanity is doomed. It just does. We are incapable. We haven't done what we have to do to stop our lust to extract every bit of mineral wealth from this earth. And in so doing, we have polluted this earth, creating the conditions you're decrying in Alaska. And I mean, what? Oh, God. So, as I said, carpe diem. Is it carpe? Carpe diem. Live for today because tomorrow. Hello?
Hey, Lynn, it's Mike from D.C.
Mike from D.C. Hi.
So, how to get your head around this?
Mm-hmm.
It's about oil.
Yes, of
because
course.
If we go to war with China, which isn't a definite possibility, but it's a likelihood that the Pentagon has to look at, how will we have the resources in order to do that? And if China or Russia has those resources or the ability to get to them, they're not our ally, and it's a national security issue, which is why he's pushing aside, I think, the environmental need for our security needs.
Yeah.
It's the same reason we have an embassy in Iraq, and why we'll defend that to the last man on our planet, because if something were to happen, we need access to that oil.
No, Mike, you're absolutely correct. And I mean, I know that. But this is why we're doomed. I mean, we are still these warring animals who have to prepare to defend ourselves, and we have not done the kind of work required to wean us from this need for oil. I don't know. So, yeah, I understand. So
it's about China and Russia.
Yeah,
We're still in the 1950s.
No, I know. It's definitely, no, the 50s look like they're definitely coming back gangbusters in terms of foreign issues, yeah.
And the really scary thing, I just saw a documentary about this the other day, is that China has the ability to set off a bomb in our area that doesn't kill you, but that eliminates all of our ability to, all of our satellites and all of our electrical capabilities.
It just...
So what would you do if you couldn't call into the Lynn Cullen show? You know, what would you do if you didn't have electricity or gas or the refrigerator didn't work?
Calling into the Lynn Cullen show is hardly, that would not be the first thing I would... No, so I don't doubt for a minute that it will be, these wars of the future will be disruption of our grids and our abilities to, all the stuff we're absolutely beholden to, in need of, and slaves to. So, yeah.
And there's a theory that the reason that China stole all of the government email addresses was or email the personal information for government and contract employees is for blackmail. So that they're going to go in and look through people's data, find them out, and then blackmail them to get secrets or information about the government. So it's not because they want to steal your credit cards. They'll probably sell that to a third party. But they gathered all this data in order to try and blackmail government employees, most likely. So we're really at war. I know it doesn't feel like it, but
no.
That's what this is about with the president.
Okay.
National security.
All right, fine. Wait,
sorry.
No, I mean, I know everything you're saying. I know, but jeez. So why even?
But the question is, the real question is, will we live long enough? Will the planet live long enough to make these national security precautions viable? Because if the temperature's 10 degrees higher everywhere, 50 years from now, it really won't matter what China and Russia is doing because we can't grow corn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're heading into a real... I know. I was thinking of my son, and how he'll be looking for a job. And I'm thinking, what kind of a world is he going to encounter in the next 50, 60 years? Jeez. Yeah, it's going to be daunting. Stop depressing me and get the hell off the phone.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. So, let's turn to something something we can get our hands around, okay? What woman should be on this $10 bill? First of all, it should be a $20 bill. What woman should be on the $20 bill? Apparently in the running, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Harriet Tubman, Susan B. Anthony, and Eleanor Roosevelt. Now, if that's what my choices are, I think it's a no-brainer. You go for Harriet Tubman. You agree? You go for Harriet Tubman because if you look at all four of these women, they're all there because of their work for civil rights. They all took courageous stands. Many of them, and the women who worked against, who for the vote, Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, were also very strong supporters of abolition. So here you have, in terms of women's issues and black freedom, all are there. And Eleanor Roosevelt goes right easily into all of that as well. But the reason, first of all, Susan B. Anthony has already been honored. She's been on the Susan B. Anthony dollar, for God's sakes. Enough already. That's Her and Sacagawea. Other than that, have there been any other women? Whatever. Oh, and she even got a postage stamp in 1936. So, sorry, Susan, share the wealth, okay? And Elizabeth Cady Stanton, fine, but Harriet Tubman trumps him for a few reasons. All these women were courageous. All these women were leaders. But Tubman literally risked her life day after day after day after day. You can't conceive of the courage of this woman, born in 1822, a slave, escaping, getting caught, one can only imagine, returned as a slave, escaping yet again. What a will, what a lust for freedom, what determination. She makes it to the North in 1849, so she's still in her 20s. She's 27. Second effort to escape, she does make it out. What does she do? She turns back right around and goes back across the Mason-Dixon line, where she would be killed, tortured, God knows what. She goes back and gets people, other slaves, and gets them out. She makes this treacherous journey with her life on the line every second. I don't know how many times. I would love to learn more about her, and we would if we stuck her on a stamp. Harriet Tubman. And she also supported women's suffrage. But women's suffrage must have seemed like small potatoes to her when we were talking about women's lives and their ability to be free. So after, she just, extraordinary woman. She lived to 1913. She lived a long life. Extraordinary woman. That's the woman, Harriet Tubman. It would do two things, would it not? It'd put the first black person, the first African American, on our currency, long overdue, and the first woman on our paper currency. But it should be the 20. And it shouldn't just be one damn bill, huh? Somebody gave me a $2 bill the other day. Who's on that? I didn't even notice. Watch, if they do a second bill for women, they'll give us the 2. Yeah, I bet. It was somebody I knew. Definitely. I recognize the guy. Maybe I got rid of it. Oh my God, I bet I thought it was at 1 and I...
Jefferson?
Is that who it is? Yeah, Jefferson?
Yeah.
It's Jefferson. He got the 2?
Apparently.
How does he get the 2 and... Never mind. I don't know. Whatever. But I'm just definitely casting my vote. Eleanor Roosevelt, I'm a huge fan. But, Harriet Tubman. And I don't know how they're ever going to make... How are they making that? They're not letting us vote or anything. They probably shouldn't. But I sure as heck hope that... I want to also tip my hat to Senator Casey for coming out saying he will support the Iran treaty. He was under incredible pressure. You might have seen some of the television spots running here that were pressuring you to pressure him. They used people whose families had suffered in Iran, been tortured by Iran, and, and these very personal, heart-wrenching stories about how could you try. And, I thought it was very effective advertising, but he hung in there. And there you go. Okay. So I put that Concussion trailer, the movie Concussion with Will Smith, we put that out there yesterday for your perusal, if you wanted to. There's a page 1 story in the New York Times today about the movie, which is interesting because why? Well, it says that emails, dozens of emails from Sony Studios that produced the movie were, I guess, part of the hack. That, remember when they hacked all those studio emails? There are emails about the making of this film, which shows the executives at Sony bending over backwards not to enrage the NFL. Now, excuse me, but the whole story is about the outrageousness of the NFL and its attempt to quash this information that its players were suffering and even dying because of injuries caused by the game. You can't do that movie without the NFL looking bad. But if you look at the emails, it's fascinating. So they say things like, one top executive says this, suggests it to the director. Rather than portray the NFL as just one corrupt organization, could we identify the individuals within the NFL who were guilty of denying or covering up the truth? So, let's let the NFL off the hook and stick this on like one bad egg in the NFL. I mean, this is insanity. This was NFL close this stuff down. It goes right straight to the top, to the board of directors, that this is a huge threat to the game. It's very disconcerting to see. Well, it's not surprising. I forwarded this story to Jean Marie Laskus, whose work is what the movie's based on. And she hasn't gotten back to me. I said, did you see this? The NFL is well known to pressure any entity, really pressure any entity that has anything negative about them. And the NFL is so huge that it's very rare for a big entertainment entity not to have a business relationship of some sort with the NFL. So the NFL in 2013 were all over ESPN about a documentary that ESPN produced and was airing called League of Denial. And that was a documentary that ESPN produced in conjunction with PBS's Frontline series. And this also was about concussion. And the League of Denial, obviously the NFL saying, no, no problem here, keep moving, they look the other way, there's nothing happening here. So here's ESPN attempting to do it, along with Frontline, which is a really very good documentary maker, as you know. And they went after ESPN because, well, the NFL has some leverage on ESPN, does it not? I think. So ESPN backs out. They back away. The project went ahead and was shown on PBS on Frontline. But the NFL muscled ESPN out of the mix. They also went after ESPN 10 years ago when they were doing a series that showed some of the NFL players in a rather unsavory light. That also was stopped after just one season. Sony has no significant business ties to the NFL, unlike almost every other Hollywood entity. And yet, these memos show that as the film, which was being filmed here, as Concussion's being filmed here, the pressure continued unabated to soften it up. So that rather than show the NFL as like this outrageous, corrupting, despicable entity, it's now more of a piece about the character that Will Smith plays, the African doctor working for Cyril Wecht here. And so it's this little man, this inconsequential man, this David, and he's a whistleblower. So it's a whistleblower film. And the focus on that. There's no way the NFL comes out looking good in this film. But apparently there was a lot of pulling back. The memos show the director and Will Smith's agents discussing how to avoid antagonizing the National Football League by messing with the script. There's one memo which shows that some, quote, unflattering moments were deleted from the movie. Another memo, July 2014, a top Sony lawyer is said on the memo to have taken, with quotes, for legal reasons, most of the bite out of the film. The legal department took most of the bite out of the film because of concerns about the NFL. So, there you have it. Sony executives discussed in these emails how to make the movie appear less threatening to that poor little NFL. In several emails, they said that the press materials should make a big note that Will Smith loves football, that Will Smith's kid played football. I think that kid, we've talked about him, I think his head is damaged already. So as you know, as I said earlier, the fact that they're releasing the film at Christmas means that the studio thinks it's a potential Oscar quality film. And, but this was, while again, not surprising, just, see, the big boys always take care. Everything is taken care of. So the reason I saw a picture of this Microsoft executive's little bungalow in the paper, I see it right here, is the Times also noted today, something we've talked about, how a lot of these big employers, especially in the tech sector, are now offering incredibly generous, for the United States, parental leave, vacation, all this kind of stuff. And just in the last few weeks, Microsoft said they would offer more benefits regarding parental leave. And this is what, the Netflix kicked this off. And then they all have to get on board because an employee would say, well, why work at Microsoft when I can go to and get so much better benefits that would allow me to live a balanced life. Accenture also extending benefits. But get this, here's what the story is. Monday night, the CEO of Yahoo, which also has great benefits, a woman, Marissa Mayer, announced to her gazillion employees that she was pregnant with twins and that no one should expect her to take much time away from work. After they're born, she told them, quote, I plan to approach both the pregnancy and delivery as I did with my son 3 years ago, taking limited time away and working throughout. So Yahoo says to its employees, look, you can take a few months off when you have your baby. And then here's the CEO saying, I'm having twins. And I'll be on the job 24/7. Don't you worry about it. So that's not even a mixed message. That's a clear message. The benefits might be there, but use them at your peril. Quite clearly. Use them at your peril. Alrighty. What else we got here? Oh, so can I admit I was watching America's Got Talent last night? Will you still think well of me? Will your portrait of me be somehow confused? Here's what happened. I'm watching the Pirate game. In the first inning, there is a debacle. And I can tell it's going to be one of those games. I, in fact, had said, oh no, they're going to Milwaukee. Milwaukee, if you look at the standings, is like 7,000 games behind us. They ain't having a good year. They're well below 500. We are one of the hottest teams in baseball. We go to Milwaukee, and I'm telling you, watch them sweep us. That's what we do. That's what this team does. They drive me crazy. They lose to these crap teams all the time. So I said to my son, I can't watch this. I don't even have to watch it. I will check in every once in a while in case maybe they get their act together and, wake up their offense and take Cole off the mound. Okay, sorry. So I started doing the blah, 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 blah. Came on America's Got Talent. And there was this group, amazing group, and I didn't get their name, but they're from Japan. Why do they call it America's Got Talent? It just occurred to me. When these guys weren't Americans. Wouldn't you think America's Got Talent then would be Americans with talent? It's not Japan's Got Talent, but boy, they do. Because these Japanese, they were a bunch of guys, dancers, and mixing it up with technology. Hard to explain what they do, but was unbelievable. And here's the other bizarre thing about them, which my son noticed and remarked on immediately. He said, my God, they're in whiteface. And they are. They're even in whiteface when they're not performing, because there was this interview before, and obviously this is something they do. So they have white face paint on their faces, makes them look very odd. So stop and think about it. These are Japanese making their faces white for an American audience after understanding our culture, in which the majority whites for years and years donned blackface, which was not... Okay, so I thought, woo, that's cheeky. I sort of appreciated it, a little edgy. And at the end of their performance, the judges were all agog. These, you're made. I mean, you've changed things. This is blah, 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 blah. But, and I mean, it is amazing what they do. But here's what I'm getting at. Howie Mandel says to them, he's one of the judges, what is the Japanese word, because their English is a little, what is the Japanese word for amazing? And this woman, the only woman who's actually the head of it, she's the technological wizard, I think, she says, blah, 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 blah. And so Howie says, blah, 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 and they all smile. They're amazing. And then he says, what is the Japanese word for winner? And this woman, smart as a whip, and her English is pretty damn good, the woman's, she looked confused for a minute. Now, winner, they're trying to win. Okay. Winner. And she, and turned to her Japanese cohorts and said, and they're all looking at her like, and she said, well, champion? And Howie Mandel said, champion is the Japanese word for it. He said, that's not a Japanese word. But he said, champion. And then he went on, what's the word for, you're as good as gone in. So, but I was blown away by that. What? I mean, we have a culture here in which winner takes all. Winning is so important. Winning, it's what, how could a language, a people, not have a word that translates to winner? Yes, Celine is smart. She says, because its culture is a collectivist culture. It is not an individualist culture. But there's got to be some word, because they navigate a world in which winning is important. They go to the Olympics. They want to win. There's got to be something, but I agree. It just shows that, I understand there not being words for certain things, but when you bump into these sort of obvious cultural a total difference in mindset, or how the language that we use has a total impact on our perceptions of the world and what's important and who we are and what we strive for. And obviously, striving to be a winner is not something. I mean, if they acquired another word like champion, fine, but you mean up until they decided for champion, there was not a synonym? I find it fascinating. I'm just saying. I wouldn't otherwise have brought up that I was watching America's Got Talent, but I was blown away by these guys. So the Japanese have talent. Don't you think that name is misleading? Okay, there's a piece Tony Norman wrote about it, I think, yesterday. It is mind-blowing. Something that happened in Dayton, Ohio, involves driving while black. And I don't know if you saw it. This one turned out okay. Could have turned out another way, but this guy from Detroit was driving to visit his mom in Dayton. And he realized he's being shadowed by a police car in Dayton. And the cop is tailing him for blocks and blocks and blocks. Obviously, this guy, being black, is making full stops at stop signs. He's looking, but he is following every rule of the road to the. It did not stop the cop from pulling him over. This guy got his cell phone and immediately started recording. And when he asked, "Why did you stop me?" listen to what he was told. Well, he was told two things. First, he was told that while he did put on his turn signal, he did not do so 100 feet before the turn. Have you ever heard that? Do you know? I wish a lot of people would do that, because you people who don't turn it on until you're actually making the turn, I've always said, what do you think the signal's for? You nitwit. But 100 feet. So, yeah, that obvious. That is bullshit. That is a way to stop a black man in a car. Okay. What was the other crime this guy had committed? The cop told him, the white cop told him, that he had made, quote, "You made direct eye contact with me and held onto it when I was passing you." Oh, the cop is passing him, and he went like this. And he must have held that look. This is what got, black people lynched if they held eye contact with a white person for a little too long. This is... Nothing happened to this guy. And he told the cop, "I've been recording this. I've done nothing." So the cop gives him a warning and goes away. But he then gives the driver, gives this to a talk show host. And so it goes viral. The city of Dayton put out a statement acknowledging that, quote, Making direct eye contact with an officer is not a basis for a traffic stop. And they say that they are in contact with Mr. Felton, the guy who was stopped, and that he, Mr. Felton, has, quote, agreed to a conversation with the officer facilitated by the Dayton Mediation Center that will allow Mr. Felton and the officer to discuss this incident. I mean, all handled, I guess, pretty well. But look, so here is what driving while black. This is what it is. This is what it is. Let us remember that today, I guess, there is the first hearing or something for the case in Baltimore where those 6 cops are on trial for the murder of Freddie Gray, is that his name? Do you remember what the first officer said about why he targeted Freddie Gray, who is not in a car? He said that he had made eye contact. That is what Freddie Gray looked at the cop looked back, and then Freddie Gray ran. That's what set off the chase. He made eye contact. He was a threat because he looked somebody in authority in the eye. This is what the Reverend said at his funeral. And I want to tell this grieving mother, you are not burying a boy. You are burying a grown man. He knew that one of the principles of being a man is looking somebody in the eye. So. I think that's it. Okay, guys. That was it. Enjoy your days. Don't look a police officer in the eye, and please put that turn signal on 100 feet before you are going to use it, unless, of course, you're white, and then you can disregard everything I just said. Toodaloo.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.